Hey everybody, welcome back to Final Resonance TV and Musical Journeys episode number 9. Today my guest is the awesome, killer buddy from way back in the day, Damon Johnson.
Two of my favorite adjectives.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome and killer.
No, you're missing one. Dude.
Well,
Dude, that was your...
Is that an adjective though? Dude is more like it.
Sort of, back then it was.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm great. And it's been a while. It's been a while.
Man. It's good to see you.
It's been a while. You've been on world tour the whole time. Seems like
It's been a busy last few years.
Yeah.
I guess that once I started Black Star Riders was kind of the time I started putting in decent amount of focus on my solo stuff as well. So
right.
between those two things and
Home
wife
life,
and kids,
home
it is
life, busy.
is 90 miles an hour, man, every day. But I love it.
Well, in case you didn't know, Damon's played with Alice Cooper, with John Waite, and Black Star Riders, then Lizzy, all kinds of different acts, all the way. Whiskey Falls was another one.
Man, it's been a wild run. It's funny. I saw an old friend a couple nights ago, and we had met back in the early '90s when I was coming to Nashville, doing a little bit of songwriting as we were putting Brother Kane together.
Right.
And he was laughing. He goes, "Man, you got the most impressive Wikipedia page I've ever read."
Yeah.
Which is a tremendous compliment.
Right.
But yeah, I've embraced, I'm certainly grateful for, I guess, being a journeyman musician.
Right.
Having a lot of different experiences. I do know that sometimes I'll get a little restless. I don't want to say bored, but like do something for a period of time.
Right.
And go, okay, I've done this.
Right.
I'd like to do something else.
Right.
And so I guess the solo thing is kind of the thing that I want to do forever, in addition to
whatever
to
else
other
you're
projects.
doing, right.
Yeah.
Well, you also wrote with Sammy Hagar, and you wrote for Steven Tyler and Santana,
Yeah, man.
and a song for Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, the songwriting thing, man. I'm so grateful. Those things sort of came to me.
Right.
And the Sammy Hagar thing was special because we had just toured. Brother Kane had just toured with Van Halen.
Right.
So that was a total surprise. He called me out of the blue on his own. He was a real big fan of Fools Shine On. He loved that song and the whole...
Was that 96 or...?
That was 96, yeah.
Right after the tour.
Yeah, and then, I have to give a lot of credit to some of the collaborators in my life. John Shanks and I wrote a song called Every Day. I was writing for what I thought would maybe be a solo record after Brother Kane.
Okay.
And he wound up playing it for Stevie Nicks, who he had worked with, and she loved it and wanted to record it, and I said, great.
Right on.
I'd way rather you do it than me do it. So that was an honor. And then, my old friend Buck Johnson,
right.
we had started a song for Buck's potential next solo thing, and that morphed into a song called Just Feel Better with our friend Jamie Houston. And Jamie was kind of plugged in with Clyde Davis and some of those big shots, and through a weird chain of events, man, it wound up in Santana's hand.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I was thinking about the Santana thing. There's also the Faith Hill song you did with Marty, right? Marty Fredrickson.
Yeah, it's ironic. We're here in Marty's gorgeous studio. Yeah, I had come to L.A. to do some songwriting around that time that I wrote Every Day with John Shanks.
Okay.
And as I always did, whenever I came to town, I would call Marty just to say, "Hey, man, can I see you? Let's go get some lunch or whatever."
Right.
And he just said, "Hey, do you have a guitar?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a guitar." He goes, "Well, come to the house." So I literally changed my plans that day to see some family and went out to his studio. He goes, "I want you to play on something." He didn't tell me what it was. And so...
I know you just played a slide on it.
Man, I played every electric guitar on that song. There's like 6 or 8 different parts, man. Marty did an incredible job producing that. And the big additional honor, man, was that by proxy I got to play with Vinnie Colaiuta and Leland Sklar. Yeah, so it was wild. A year later, the song is out and Faith is on like the American Music Awards or something, and played the song.
Right.
And she literally had 6 guitar players on stage to
cover all your parts.
Cover all the parts. So
that's crazy, man.
Once again, Marty Fredrickson making things happen.
That's something else. So you have 3 solo albums, right? You have your acoustic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically I've got 4. I've got 2 acoustic records. Dust came out in 2000.
Right.
And then I put out Release in 2010.
Right.
And then last year was my EP, Echo.
Right.
And then I've just released the live album.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Just released as in 3 days ago.
So talk about the live album a little bit since it's brand new.
Yeah, man. Birmingham tonight. It was kind of a dream, a vision I had of. I just wanted to, I had thought about doing some kind of a best of compilation at the encouragement of some of my fans and some friends.
Right.
The Brother Kane stuff was all on Virgin Records, and that's morphed into EMI and some other stuff.
Okay.
Red Halo, Slave to the System, Whiskey Falls, just all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I thought instead of trying to get licensing and permission and all that headache, I was like, man, I'd love to maybe do a live record. So there was a show coming up with my new band, my new solo band, to play at Workplay in Birmingham, which is an extra special venue for me. I've played there many times. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that my wife Linda and we were married there. We had our wedding.
I think I remember that
at Workplay in 2002. So it just has a lot of great memories for me. Right. The staff there are all people I love. Davey Moore,
the
front of house sound man. He's a legend. Tony Wachter was running the Pro Tools studio there at Workplay.
Right.
So having those 2 guys involved gave me a lot of confidence,
Right.
And more importantly than that, my band was incredible.
Yeah.
Jared Pope on drums, Tony Nagy on the bass, Tony Higbee on guitar.
Right.
So it was a bold effort because we'd only really done one other show before that.
Right.
So it's a real testament to their
professionalism,
amazing skills as players.
Right.
They put a lot of trust in me, and they gave me plenty of rope to get out there and hang myself. Tony Nagy said something funny this week. He just says, man, well, I'm really grateful that you made all those ridiculous decisions to try to bite off more than you can chew. Because it was a lot. But again, man, everyone delivered. And I remember when I got the hard drive from Tony and started listening, I was almost emotional. I was like, wow, this sounds incredible.
I have listened to it this last week. It sounded killer.
Well, thank you, man. I'm so proud of it.
Sounded great.
I feel like it's a great kind of tip of the hat to the Brother Kane stuff. I think there's 6 of those songs on there.
Yeah.
And some new stuff. I touched on a little bit of everything. There's The Killer Instinct by Black Star Riders.
Right. Slave to the System song was on there.
Yeah, I love Slave to the System, the song and the band. But, some of the tunes, we performed more songs that night than what made the album.
Right.
So, on a single CD, you're limited to like 74 minutes.
Right.
So 2 hours and 10 minutes got chopped to 75. It was hard. It was hard to decide what songs to put on and leave off. But some of the decisions were made on literally the audience reaction.
Right.
Like when we started Slave to the System, people acted like it was like a hit song or something.
I love that song back when I saw you do it at Sammy T's one time when you came with Slave to the System there and y'all played there. And
I remember.
I was like, wow, I love that. It was a drop D.
Man, Slave to the System is drop C.
I was going to see it.
We dropped all the way down the C.
Crazy, yeah.
I'm still kind of basking in the energy of this live album and getting it out. It was a euphoric day this week, to actually pull the physical copy out of the box when it showed up from the UPS man. It's always a great feeling to take another project across the finish line like that.
So when you take a risk like that, I tend to do that myself. I take risks that I push myself. Do you, as far as other musicians, young musicians, what would you say about things like that? Preparation versus how much risk you put in?
That's a great question.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I just know that for me now, things are dictated by a different set of, I don't want to say rules, but there's a different reality in the music business. And, you know, there's pluses and minuses about that.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, we were surrounded by people that were just complaining. So it was not like it used to be, and nobody's buying CDs. And
Right.
you know, man, that's just change.
Yeah,
that's
right.
just life. That's
Right.
the evolution of history in motion. So
Well, it's always been that way. If you go back to the 50s, it was singles market.
yeah, man.
And now it's a change.
Absolutely.
Album market back to singles market.
Hey, man,
It changes.
you know, Ray Perkins and Johnny Cash were selling their records out of the trunk of their car, and it's kind of come back to that.
Right.
I mean, I'm literally driving down to Auburn tomorrow night, and I'm selling my new CD out of the back of my GMC Yukon.
Yeah.
And I am grateful for anybody that wants to buy one. You know,
Right.
But I just know that with you know, if you can write, if you can sing, if you can perform,
Right.
and you're pretty conscientious, man. You got to stay on the ball, but it's a better time than ever
Right.
to make your own recordings,
Sure.
press them up, put them out, get them out there.
It's way less expensive than it
Well,
ever
it
was.
is, and
Yeah.
but you know, also like in the process of doing that, if you can also attempt to put some kind of a team together.
Right.
Maybe you know you need a good music lawyer.
Right.
One day you're going to need a good manager. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so if you can meet these people and kind of get them involved, it's all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're running your own business.
Right.
And
Which is kind of what today is.
It really is, and you know it's interesting talking to you now.
Yeah.
As long as we've known each other,
Yeah.
it took me a long time, Jeff, to look at it as truly a business.
Sure.
So many things were done for me or for us under the guise of, well, this is what you need. We're going to take care of this for you.
Right.
Well, there's a cost in that taking care of this for you.
Right. Exactly.
And it's coming out of your
pocket.
pocket, you know. Now, you got to have a team. You still got to have some people's help, man. I'm not interested in trying to
Wrangle all that.
do it all by myself.
Right,
But
right.
you know, there's so much I'm learning now, and it's motivated by the same motivation I've always had, and that's just loving the music.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to get into the music business to get rich, I
Right,
think I'd
right.
go do something else.
Right,
There's
right.
plenty of other things, you know, to make a lot of money
That's
now
right.
more than ever.
Right.
But I just love the music, and I've never been. There's never been a point in my career that I've been so inspired and so fulfilled, and really so productive. You know,
Right,
there's
right.
really a lot of music getting churned out, and I'm proud of
It
that.
seems like a lot of people are doing that. One of the guys that we grew up listening to, George Lynch, seems like he always has like 10 projects going on. He's all these different bands he's working on.
George is out of his mind.
He's
man.
like project after project.
He's out of his mind.
But he's producing stuff. He's
Such a great player.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you do see that more. I think with, you know, our generation of
Right.
players, and you know, another thing I was thinking about in advance of doing this thing with you again,
Right.
because we've known each other for so long.
Right.
You know, so much of where you and I kind of met in Birmingham,
Mm-hmm.
it was all about the guitar. It was all about guitar and
Mm-hmm.
amps and our favorite players and our favorite recordings and
Yeah.
learning different licks and
Right,
all that.
right.
And I was entrenched in that deeply.
I've seen videos of you playing Sash Boogie
Oh wow!
way back in the day.
I've never seen a video. Of
Oh,
that.
you never have?
No,
What's
wow.
out there, bro?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, once I became the singer in Brother Kane and started becoming a songwriter,
Right.
there was a real shift for me, and to this day, I love playing guitar now more than ever.
Sure.
But I listen to less guitar players than ever in my life.
more-
You know, if I'm home and want to listen to something, or I'm in my truck and gonna listen, it's a singer songwriter.
Right.
It's a legend like Joni Mitchell, or Leonard Cohen, or Prince, or Paul Simon, or you know, younger writers like Jason Isbell.
Yeah,
You know,
right, for the
they
shows.
just inspire me so
Right.
much. And then, you know, the guitar playing is, in a lot of ways, it's almost like the icing on the cake.
Right.
It's always the easy part.
Right.
The work, man, is in the lyrics and the melodies and the arrangement.
Yeah, I've noticed that with your whole progression is that you went, like you said, from the technical more to the songwriting. That became much more of a focus for you.
Yeah, man, and the world is full of great guitar players.
Right.
There's so many great players.
Sure.
It's not full of great songwriters.
That's true.
And so for me to be so fortunate to work with the people that I have in the last 25 years, Marty Fredrickson, Kelly Gray, John Shanks. I give a lot of credit to meeting Ricky Warwick. You know, when I joined Thin Lizzy in 2011, he was the singer, and now Lizzy morphed into Black Star Riders. Ricky is an incredible songwriter. So for the two of us to find ourselves in the same band and then start writing together, man, it just re-energized my
I remember that
my motivation and my just drive to be a better songwriter. Right. So and that's part of the productivity of what's coming right now. But I think it's, I tell it to my kids. They're like, Dad, why did you choose to be in the music business? I said, well, it sort of chose me.
Right.
I didn't think I could make a living at this. I was going to do something else. But, I would tell them, be a songwriter before anything else. Yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning for you, because you just said that, about it chose you. Let's go back to Geraldine. And before that, I guess, you were in Georgia originally.
Well, I was born in Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, small kid, we moved to Monroeville, Alabama.
Okay.
Down southwest Alabama.
Okay.
And my dad sold farm equipment.
I remember that.
Farm implements. So it didn't really matter where we lived, because he would travel around his territory, which was pretty much the whole state of Alabama.
Right, right.
So that's where I went to grade school. That's where I discovered a real love of music, a love of, I took a little piano. My dad played some guitar. He had a brother that was just a monster.
That's what
flat pick, finger picker. Right. Almost like a kind of a cover version troubadour. I remember him sitting at the table and playing songs like Danny Boy or Glenn Campbell stuff or Jim Reeves, on and on, all kinds of stuff.
Right, right.
And he made it look really easy. So just to be around that was key. So he gave me my first electric guitar, this Fender Jazzmaster that I wish so deeply, man, I still had it. I did. Because it didn't have a humbucker and a Floyd Rose.
Right.
But, and that was around the time that I, had friends at school, and we all discovered Kiss. We discovered Aerosmith, Rush, Kansas, that first Boston record, man, just changed everybody's life, man. It was so insane. Bad Company, Ted Nugent, certainly Leonard Skinner and the Allman Brothers. So, it was like a club. It's just the way I think people feel when they join a gang, an inner city gang. Right. It gives you community. It gives you lifestyle. Right. So we started making noise, plugging in, the guitar my uncle gave me. My buddy had a hodgepodge set of drums, and the bass player, had a Gene Simmons picture hanging on his wall.
So was it like you had picked that up from your family, and then you were inspired by your family first, or was it something that hit? I mean, I know there is. But.
Well, yeah, my family, without a doubt, man. Both my parents, to this day, they love music.
Right.
And my mom's a great singer. She sang in church and school her whole life. So I give her a lot of credit for encouraging me to sing.
Right.
I probably wouldn't have even thought about it had she not said, "Hey, you got a pretty good voice. You should keep. Don't neglect that. Do the piano, do the guitar, but don't neglect the other stuff."
Right.
So yeah, for sure. But I think it also just kind of, unbeknownst to me, it kind of fine-tuned some musicality, even going into those treacherously, horrendously sounding garage band jams.
So how old are you then?
I was 13, 14 when we first started playing.
Yeah. You and your buddies in the garage? Or?
Yeah, man. Mac Baker, Troy Dobbins, Alan Nettles, Pat Buskell, and the legendary Joey Champion on the lights. Joe,
there's always a light guy.
Joe Champion grew up to become the fire marshal in Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, really?
And now he's a state trooper. He's a legend, man. But he started you know, making park cans out of Maxwell Have Coffee, or light rigs out of this
paint them black or whatever. Yeah.
Right, and he may have been the first person to bring a bag of weed to the garage. So telling on you, Joe. But yeah, man, that stuff, and it just changed my life. I mean, I'll never forget, man, counting off. It was Taking Care of Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive, and we just kind of, okay, you know that, and then how does that other chord go? Okay, and then Alan goes 1, 2, 3, and when we used to all started playing, I mean, man, I got chill bumps right now,
right,
just thinking about it,
right, it just
life change,
right.
And then we learned like 6 songs, and then somebody had a house party, and it was all girls that came to the party, and it was like, bro, I'm done. Like I don't know if I'm going to become a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher,
right?
But I'm going to play music in addition to that, no matter what, because this is like a drug.
You know what I saw? I saw an interview where you said you played Brick House and something else.
Cat Scratch Fever.
Cat Scratch Fever. That's what it was.
That was the talent show, man. I knew I was moving from Monroeville to Geraldine.
Okay.
And so that was the end of the 9th grade there in Monroeville. And it was still the high school, grades 8 through 12, and so there was a talent show.
Right.
So we entered it, and my school was really diverse, man. It was literally about half white and half black, and I had friends and all over the school.
Right.
So one of my African American buddies said, "Hey, man, you should rock like some Commodores, or something in addition to the Ted Nugent." And I was like, what a great idea.
Yeah, it was a great idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, man. We took it because we played Cat Scratch Fever
Everybody loves Brick House.
And the place went, everybody's rocking out. But when we kicked into Brick House,
place blew up, right?
Blew up, man.
Still does every weekend.
We won $15. And my favorite memory of that is the guys in the band gave me the $15 so I could buy this. Electro Harmonics made this little fuzz box that you could plug into your guitar. And I'm going to find one of those because I don't have it anymore. But it would literally, it had a 1/4-inch jack on it. You plug it in, then you plug the other cable in, and it just had a knot. Because I had this super clean Fender amp, no distortion.
Right, had to have the distortion in.
And I don't think they thought about kicking me out of the band because of it, but they were always like, man, that amp sounds like shit. So grateful to those guys for looking out for me.
That's crazy. So you got your bands, and so when I intersect with you, it's a pretty interesting point. Is you're in Headline.
Yeah, quickly. So I moved to Geraldine.
Yeah.
Put another band together there with some more high school friends.
Okay.
Larry Davis on the bass, Danny Beeson was singing, and our first drummer was Jeff Maddox. We were all in the same class at school.
Right.
But then we got another drummer, Michael Rollins, who lived, he was younger than us, badass drummer, lived about 20 minutes away and had a garage, and his parents said we could practice whenever we wanted. So
this is high school?
Yeah, this was actually, Michael became the drummer, I had just graduated high school and was going to junior college, and then Michael got involved.
What band is this?
That band was called Phoenix.
Okay.
And Phoenix played all kinds of stuff, man. Skating rinks, a couple VFW halls. We did, there was a small mall there, and they would have, not battle of the bands, but almost like a jam. And your band could come and set up and play, and we just,
cool.
We went and did all that stuff.
Right.
And went to some other towns, within like that northeast Alabama area, DeKalb County, like Fort Payne, Gunnersville, Scottsboro, Albertville, Boaz, Geraldine, stuff like that.
I went to there.
But then I went from Phoenix to a band called Runner.
Okay.
And Runner was older guys playing real clubs, bars, music halls.
And how old were you then?
I was 20,
just barely
19 or 20.
Yeah.
And so that was a big deal, man.
And the guys were how much older than you?
They were 4 or 5 years older than me.
Right.
And great players.
Right.
I learned so much from them.
I was going to say
and they were really encouraging,
What kind of material were you learning with them?
Super pop.
Okay.
Super pop, man.
Just whatever was.
The set list at that moment, I remember, was like another thing. one thing leads to another.
Okay,
The Fix.
yeah.
We were playing like Howard Jones. We did a lot of Huey Lewis. We would do some, standards, older stuff, Stones, and maybe a Beatles song or two. But trying to place this Hall and Oates, that kind of thing.
Right, all the pop stuff is up.
And it was cool for me, man, because they were great singers. These guys could sing, and they really got on me, helped me, but also like, hey, man, you're flat,
Right.
You gotta get up to the note.
Right.
Please.
So were you singing a lot when you were in high school?
No.
Okay.
Very little. I might sing lead on one song, one or two songs.
Right. Like what would you sing?
I sang. Well, I sang the Leonard Skinner stuff, which was always fun.
Yeah.
And I remember singing "Cocaine" by Eric Clapton.
Clapton.
But I was the go-to man on any Rick Springfield that we covered. And I think we covered a lot of Rick Springfield. There were like 2 or 3 songs.
Right,
so,
they were big songs.
Or Bryan Adams. Those Bryan Adams songs off his first record were so great.
Right,
and they were hits on the radio. And we had seen him. I think he opened for somebody like Journey or REO Speedwagon.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
I was very white. Yeah. My record collection was very white.
Okay.
But great. And so, but again, singing was just almost more like to give the other singer a break.
Right.
You know
That's what I still do.
Because you're doing 3 sets a night.
Right.
And
It gets rough. Yeah.
So Runner was cool. Runner, I got to play with Tim Hammond.
Yeah, I know Tim is.
And Tim wound up trying out for Pat Upton. Pat Upton was in a band called Spiral Staircase.
Okay. Yeah, I remember from the 50s?
60s. Like 69, almost 1970.
Okay.
But Pat Upton is from Geraldine, Alabama.
Yeah.
Pat went to high school with my mother. Pat was a legend growing up for us.
Ricky Nelson's, but he was in his band, but he was also a writer and a
his song, More Today Than Yesterday.
Was
I love you more today than yesterday. One of the great pop songs of all time, man.
Right.
And that guy's from fucking Geraldine, Alabama. It's mind-blowing.
That's crazy.
So Pat had lived in California for decades, decided to come back to Alabama,
right,
and opened a music hall, and he wanted to have a house band.